are there any other sort of systems, processes they should be thinking about? Is there anything you also mentioned a guy you work with? Is bringing other people into the fold important?
Yeah, definitely. That's moved on. Uh, so in terms of other people, yes, I had Emily, who was head of social media for Superdry, like used to work with me on a few clients where she'd be doing all the sort of scheduling and all that kind of thing on the social channels. You know, I'm learning from her. Nick, who I do most of my filming with, he's got a film background.
Okay.
He also uh, is a producer on a channel with like 3 million subscribers.
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
so he understands YouTube really well. Technically, he's a better filmer than I am. And so, you know, I'm learning from him.
Did you start solo?
So he's a producer on a very niche
No, no, no.
channel.
When you started
Oh,
Human, were you on your own?
yeah, completely on
Oh,
my own.
okay.
I think like one of the first jobs I got in was like a website, so I'd like subbed it out because I have no idea how to build websites. But yeah, so I tend to try and lean into the things I'm better at and the things
Yeah.
I enjoy, and then when projects get bigger and harder, then I will bring in people to make sure that I deliver on those.
Okay.
But most of my shoots now, there's at least one other on to sort of make sure things are good, and then I sub a lot of the editing out now as well because it takes so long. I can't do it all.
Okay.
But yeah, in terms of like you know tools and that sort of thing and apps, we use the Adobe suite. So I'm on Premiere. Nick, who I film with, has just gone over to DaVinci Resolve, which you can use for free.
Yeah.
So he's learning that. I might move over. I'm kind of
DaVinci
not.
Resolve seems to be getting a lot of positive press
Yeah,
at the moment.
yeah. It's very different, but it's like kind of makes sense really. The problem
Yeah.
is I've learned over the years all the shortcuts and everything in Premiere. It's be a bit of a wrench to go over to something new, but yeah, I was there's really interesting things. Like I'm terrible at accounts and like logging my expenses and my mileage and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And when I first started the business, my accountant was gave advised me to use TripCatcher, and at the time it was called Receipt Bank. It's called Dext now. So every time I travel anywhere, my phone logs where I'm traveling.
Oh
It then
really?
automatically ties into Zero, which is my accounting software,
Yeah.
and puts it through as an expense at the right pence per mile. And all you've got to do is press start and stop and put the reason for the trip in. So I never have to log any mile. I don't have to go back and work it all out.
Yeah.
It's all tracked on my phone. And then every time I stop at Starbucks or whatever on the motorway services, I take a photo of the receipt, and the Dext reads the receipt, pulls out all the VAT, and again sends it off to your accounting software.
Wowzers. Do you know what, James? That is why I love this podcast because most people would say, "Oh, I use DaVinci and and this is what I use," which is great, but doesn't really help people, right? Because most people know. But it's when you drop nuggets like that, which is really powerful
It's
because
such a
they're
time
game
saver.
changing.
Yeah, it's a massive time saver, and because it's the stuff that I don't enjoy. Like that's
Yeah,
where you should be looking to use tools. You know,
yeah.
yes, there's things that the software that we all use helps us, but actually that's a massive one for me. It's just because it would never get done, or it would get done, but it would then it would
It's
be
that one
like,
where you get to the end of the month and you're looking back through your calendar. You're like, right, I've driven here. And then you're on Google Maps, and then it's like,
yeah,
oh well, I've got to
you
calculate
spend
that.
half a day,
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
or you,
easily.
you end up with a shopping bag full of receipts, just going, oh god, when was this? Just awful, absolutely awful. And now, so I send my invoices out once a month. I just do it all on the same day,
Yeah,
and I then, so I mean, if you're thinking about systems and processes, like James Clear's Atomic Habits, which, having a look at the bookshelf behind you, I bet you that's on there somewhere.
Do you know what? It's not 'cause it's upstairs. I actually lent that to my wife very recently.
So just
Yes.
a brilliant book in terms of, you know, getting things into your routine um, as opposed to sort of, you know,
Making it hard.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I write a monthly email newsletter for Human. I've done it every single month since I've started the business.
Yeah.
I don't try and do it every week. You know, I don't put the pressure on myself, but I do say within the first week of every single month, I will send out a newsletter, and I've done it because it's almost like built into my, okay, I'm looking at the calendar.
Yeah.
Being Human has got to go out, and just having things that are part of your routine makes life a lot easier, I think. Which, you know,
Becomes
is,
routine, doesn't it? Like the James Clear example is about brushing your teeth, for example. You don't think, oh, I've got to brush my teeth. So you just do it.
yeah. So every
Yeah.
time I get in the car, I like to drive for work. I track it on my phone. Every time I like buy a coffee, my phone comes out. I take a photo of it. It's like, what habit can you form that's just going to save time
Yeah.
in like doing the boring stuff?
And remind me
Um,
the two names again.
so Trip Catcher
Okay.
and Dext, which is DEXT. I think it's
Okay.
dext.cc or something, and they
I'll
all link.
find. I'll link it in the show notes so people
Yeah,
can
and that
check it out.
links to Zero directly. So
Yeah.
Zero is my accounting software, which is a bit like QuickBooks.
I use Zero as well.
Yeah, that's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I don't know how much my accountant charges me for it, but I think it's only like a couple of quid a month, which
Yeah,
I would.
it's pretty cheap depending on what level you want to get to or number of stuff you do. But
Yeah, no, the
the base
apps.
package is really good.
Yeah, the trip catcher and Dext, I think you have to pay for. I think that's the thing that's a couple of quid a month, but
But
it could be 50 quid. I don't know. This is my point.
that's the point, right? What it saves you in time and stress, and
Yeah,
m- think how many. You only got to have one road trip that you don't calculate the mileage for,
yeah,
and that would negate the cost, right?
yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of apps that I use, like when I'm flying the drone. I have like drone assist and that, it's all just stuff that's, you know, is not important. It's those little things that I'm like, right, what's going to make my life easier?
yeah.
That's the thing I've got my eye on.